Okay, this is a video working through two problems from the 11.1 homework. On this one, we're going to do number 13 and then number 18. Number 13 is saying that we've got a measuring wheel used to calculate the length of a path, and the diameter of the wheel is 8 inches. So they give you a picture. This is the snapshot or the screenshot from the book, but you have a circle and a diameter is 8 inches. So diameter cuts across the entire circle. So diameter is 8, and then that means the radius is 4, which is usually what we end up using. The wheel makes 87 complete revolutions along the length of a path. To the nearest foot, how long is the path? So what's happening is you've got this path, and this wheel is rolling over. So it's getting wheeled and rolling over and over and over. That happens 87 times. So it's going to roll 87 times. If in order to figure that out in terms of how long the path is, what you have to think about is if you were to take a little dot on this wheel, how far would it actually travel? Because if you laid that out end to end like one big straight line, you would get the total distance traveled. And that's how these measurement systems work. So what you're trying to do is say, okay, what's the circumference of the circle? Because that's the distance around the outside one time. So that's one distance around the outside. And then if we're going to make 87 turns of the wheel, we're then going to take our circumference and multiply it by 87 to get our final answer. And answer will be, this is in inches, so the answer we find will be in inches. We'll then need to convert it to feet because we're being asked to the nearest foot, how long is the path. So first thing to do is just find the circumference of the circle. So circumference of the circle is 2 pi r, or you can, in this case they gave you diameter, you could do the pi d equation. Either way you're going to get 8 times pi. So you either do 2 times pi times 4, which is 8 pi, or you just do pi d, which is pi times 8. That then, when we do pi times 8, let's just do that. So let's go 8 pi. That's going to give us a decimal, so 25.132 or 25.1 we can call it. So that's our circumference, 25.1 inches. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to roll this wheel 87 times. So we're going to create 25.1 every single time we roll the wheel. And then if you do that 87 times, you multiply it by 87. So I'll do times 87. I'm just going to leave my answer in there so I don't have to retype the decimal. So this wheel traveled 2,186.54 inches. That's inches. They're asking us in feet. And so this is the answer in inches. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide that by the 12 inches that are in a foot, hit enter, and then this answer is going to be our foot answer. So 182, and I think they said nearest foot. So in that case, it would just be 182, and we wouldn't have any decimal. So let's make sure that's right. Yep, to the nearest foot. So our answer would be 182 feet. So that is question number 13 of using a wheel to measure a path. Second one, exercise 18, kind of got cut off here, but, well, the exercise word did, as well as some of the instructions, but it just wants us to find the perimeter of the shaded region. So we're finding the perimeter of this region down here, this blue shaded region. Perimeter means distance around the outside. So distance around the outside. They've given us 3 chunks of information. They have these 3 straight pieces that are all 5. So if we're finding distance around the outside, we got to add 5 3 times, or 3 times 5. And then we need to add up these circle pieces. So this, I'm just going to put a question mark here. That question mark, that is, I'll grab a highlighter here. That is this part of the circle, this part of the circle, and this part of the circle. This is actually a really, really good problem-solving question because any one of those pieces would be really, really challenging to find on its own, but all 3 of those pieces we actually could do together. So all 3, if you think about it, 120 degrees, and they're all marked the same. That means 120, 120, and 120. Well, 120 times 3 is 360. So what they've done is they've actually given us one full circle. So those 3 yellow pieces, if we were to glue them together, which is what you're doing with perimeter, we're adding up one full circle. So this question mark is actually the circumference of a circle, of just one full circle. So it's split into 3 yellow little arcs here, but it's one full circle. And then what we need to do is figure out, okay, so then how do you calculate circumference of a circle? Well, it's 2 pi r. So in this case, they haven't explicitly stated what r is. We have to figure that out. That also is a little bit tricky. So the way I want you to think about it, these circles are all the same circle. And you can tell everything's equidistant, and you can show that, but it's pretty obvious, I think, from the picture as to that they're all the same. If you think about this 5 right here, it's going from this center dot to this center dot. So there's 5. That means that 5 is actually this radius, and those are both the same. In other words, the radius for these circles is half of that 5. It's 2.5. So our radius is 2.5, meaning to get our circumference, we're going to go 2 times pi times 2.5. And 2 times 2.5 is just 5, so 5 pi is the circumference of our circle, and they're asking us nearest hundredth, so we'll pop that into a calculator. So we'll do 5, 5, and 5, that's 15, plus 5 pi. And that, whatever that decimal is going to be our answer. So we're going to go 15 plus 5 pi. So let's see, I can clear this stuff out. We'll go 15 plus 5 times pi and hit enter. And we get 30 I guess they said nearest hundredth, so that's 2. So 30.71 would be our answer. So 30.71 is our total perimeter. And that's it, 30.71. We got it. And that's our perimeter. So that's all this question was asking, is to find the distance around the outside.